Morning, colleagues. I see we've got some other colleagues who are still coming to join us. This is going to be a very interesting one because I think 90% of those who are here, they are from the municipal space, and that deals purely with the municipal space. We are empowering those in municipal finance. I think, colleagues, we can start. Those who come through, as and when we proceed, they will join us while we are in proceeding. I think while they are busy with trying to sort out our speakers and our panel members, maybe I can start first by welcoming everyone. Welcome to this. We'll be dealing with a very interesting yet technical topic, but its technicality, what makes it important is the fact that we heard yesterday that there is an issue of unfunded budgets. We heard yesterday from various speakers that there are financial issues in many municipalities. So when I was looking at this topic, I realized that it opens up so much with regard to how can we tackle the issue of tariff setting, especially of those issues which are surcharges, those issues which would fall within charges that we want as a municipality, but they don't fall part or they don't make up the original tariffs as we know them, as reported mainly by the Municipal Systems Act. So, colleagues, our topic, the title of the topic is the Municipal Fiscal Powers Functions Amendment Bill 2024, Act 4 of 2024. So that is our topic that our experts will be tackling, and our experts will be sharing best practices on that particular matter. So I would like to first implore all delegates to notice that this is an amendment, meaning there was an original law. Now that law has been amended. So they are going to take us through that so that you understand what is new in this law, you understand what has been improved in the law, and to capture the actual narrative of what the law is trying to achieve with the requirements of the Constitution. So the Constitution is very clear on this matter of tariffs, and very clear on matters with regard to surcharges, very clear with matters, any tariff that you charge outside of the norm must go through this particular process. And for that to happen, you need to understand all the particular amendments that were done to this particular law. So our speakers, the speaker for this one, we've got Mr. James Matsiye from Salga, and our panel members, just maybe Mr. James must stand up just so that we can acknowledge that we see you, sir. Yeah, that's Mr. James Matsiye from Salga. And then our panel members, I see here it says Chris Bawa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it proper. Is it proper pronunciation? Bawa or Bawa?
It's fine.
It's fine. Either way, it's okay. And then, and Michael Moya.
Yep.
Michael Moya. Yes. So those are our panelists, our experts will be dealing with this particular topic. And I also, as a practitioner in local government, I will also throw in my 2 cents there and there with regard to my practical take on the matter. So to start us off, I think I will hand over to our speaker, Mr. James Matsiye. Maybe if I can read out his profile. Mr. James M.J. Matia is a seasoned expert in municipal infrastructure finance with over a decade of experience in navigating the complexities of municipal finance, policy, and project management. Currently serving as a specialist in municipal infrastructure finance at the South African Local Government Association, which is SALGA, James has led key programs aimed at improving service delivery and enhancing financial management within municipalities. He is a skilled advocate and lobbyist known for his strategic capabilities to influence policy decisions within the intergovernmental fiscal relations space. James holds a master's in public policy from the Wits School of Governance and is a candidate for a master's in energy leadership at the Wits Business School. With a strong foundation in leadership, project management, and infrastructure finance, James has contributed significantly to driving innovation and excellence in the municipal finances. So colleagues, can you please give a round of applause for our speaker as he ascends to the throne?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Program Director. Sometimes we write these bios and then when you hear someone read it out loud, you don't even know who they are talking about. I'd like to appreciate this moment to take you through this presentation. And I'm happy that ultimately we are having this conversation because when this particular act was first taken out for public consultation, it was at the heart of COVID-19. I recall that it was in 2020, March, when the deadline for public consultations were made by National Treasury. And once we went into lockdown, they had to extend the timelines to June 2020. And I've always had the sense that though this is one of the most, for me personally, I think, most consulted pieces of legislation, it took almost 10 years to get to this point. There was not a lot of consultation leading up to the end of this process. So hopefully today we'll have some meaningful engagements around what the Act is about and what it aims to achieve. So the goal of this presentation is to basically unpack the implications of this amendment, to focus on its role in terms of how it enables municipalities to generate sustainable revenue through development charges, and how it intersects with planning, infrastructure, and community engagement. It is a cornerstone of fiscal decentralization, I think, from the first act that was promulgated in 2007, and it has empowered municipalities with tools to fund not only infrastructure projects, but other operations of municipalities. And ultimately, I hope that my esteemed panel will explore how this particular key legislation will help municipalities. In terms of context and overview, ultimately it is an amendment of the original 2007 Act. What is become significant in terms of what is being introduced is that it introduces charges that are aimed at bolstering municipalities' financial autonomy, particularly in the relation to development charges. And development charges are a key instrument for funding necessary infrastructure in response to growing demands placed by new developments. What is the intention of the revision? To provide certainty in the process of levying development charges such that it can be relied upon as a complementary source of capital infrastructure finance. It seeks to create consistency in the way development charges are applied. In the past, different municipalities would do their own thing, particularly the metros. It also seeks to provide regulations to govern the way charges are applied, and it also seeks to set the rules of the game. Some of the key highlights in this new amended Act is ultimately the new definitions. The first definition there is the external engineering services, which deals with bulk and linking engineering services, which also links with the amendments of the SPLUMA. It also talks about capital infrastructure assets, but does not refer to vehicles. And then ultimately also the main one being development charges for capital to serve for growth. And the minister may extend to other services beyond SPLUMA-defined engineering services. And of course, I also refer to the link to SPLUMA there. Section 9A it gives basically the power to levy a development charge. Municipalities now have the authority to impose development charges on land development applications. This charge contributes to capital infrastructure required to meet both existing and future demand. The revenue from these charges must be directly tied to infrastructure projects, ensuring that funds collected are used for that intended purposes. Section 9B, in terms of a policy, it instructs municipalities to have a development charge policy. The Act mandates municipalities to adopt policies on the levying and administration of development charges. These policies must include provisions for calculating costs, rebates, community participation in decision-making processes. Of course, there's also the aspect of community participation. Section 9C, public participation is essential before adoption of any policy in development charges. Municipalities must ensure that local communities are engaged in discussions on how development charges are structured and implemented. Other sections, I didn't want to go through all the sections in the particular Act. Section D, municipal bylaw, it gives effect to the policy. Section E, rebates and exemptions. This can only be granted in terms of the policy itself. Section F, engineering services agreement. It must be concluded where any infrastructure is installed. Section G, installation of services by the applicant. It offsets the development charge liability, but it does not replace it. Section H, non-installation by the municipality. The municipality must meet agreed timelines. Section I, internal bulk and internal link. Where there are services that traverse the service, the municipality must have the final determinant in discussions and negotiations with the developer. Section J, dispute resolution. The development charge linked resolutions are resolved through Section 62 of the MSA, and then the engineering services agreement disputes will be linked according to the agreement that was signed. Section K, delegations, they must be in writing. And of course, Section L, in terms of financial misconduct, these are dealt with through Section 171 of the MFMA. Okay, my clicker is not working, so if the person who's at the laptop could just move the slide for me, please. Okay, thank you. And then, of course, there's a link to SPLUMA in terms of the amendments, according to the definitions, and also because Section 1, it removes the powers of provinces to regulate the imposition of development charges. And of course, the aspect of accountability and transparency. The legislation also imposes stringent reporting and accountability requirements. Municipalities are expected to publish annual updates on the unit costs, ensuring transparency in how development charges are calculated and applied. So for me, I think the most important part of the conversation should be, what are the key themes for discussion in this particular breakaway? First and foremost, in terms of sustainable infrastructure financing, the ability of municipalities to levy development charges represents a move towards financial sustainability. However, how will municipalities balance the need to generate revenue with ensuring that the development remains affordable and attractive to investors? That becomes quite key. The second part being, what best practices can we adopt from municipalities that we have already successfully implemented development charges? Most of the metros already have development charges policies. And then in terms of community engagement and participation, the Act emphasizes public involvement in the formulation of municipal policies. How can municipalities foster more effective engagement with communities to ensure that policies are not only inclusive but also accepted by local stakeholders? How do we address potential resistance from property developers who may perceive these charges as deterrents? Very, very key. I think COJ has a lot of issues with this particular point. And then in terms of capacity building and implementation charges, municipalities across the country have varying levels of capacity. We all know that. When it comes to enforcing these legislative changes, not only these ones, but other changes as well, how can we ensure that the under-resourced municipalities are not left behind in implementing these reforms? What can be the role of national and provincial government in terms of supporting municipalities with technical expertise and funding for initial infrastructure projects. And of course, in terms of the impact on urban planning and land use, the integration of development charges with urban planning frameworks such as Pluma is critical. But how can municipalities ensure that their policies are coherent across all levels of governance to avoid duplication and conflict? And I guess the last part of my presentation would be, in conclusion, what would be our call of action, particularly with these new amendments? The Municipal Fiscal Powers and Functions Amendment Act of 2024 offers a powerful tool for municipalities to address growing pressures of urbanization and infrastructure needs. However, its success hinges on our collective ability to collaborate, innovate, and support one another in its implementation. As we engage in today's discussion, it becomes quite key that we focus on actionable strategies that will not only ensure compliance with the law, but will also enhance the capacity of our municipalities to deliver essential services and infrastructure to their communities. And with that, Program Director, I believe that was my last slide. Thank you.